All right, dude, what's happening? We got another knife video for you today, looking at the Kansept knives Mainstreet. Notice on mine, I did an unboxing of this knife, and I noticed it said Little Mainstreet. Obviously some sort of error. But wanted to do a full review now that I've had some time with the knife, had a lot of use out of the knife, and wanted to talk about my thoughts. So let's go over your basic specs to start things off. Your overall length on this guy is going to be 7.92 inches, so just shy of 8 inches. Its blade length is 3.36. Blade thickness of 0.125. Your handle length is, right around 4.6 inches, a little over 4.5 inches. Brown micarta on this one, it comes in like a green micarta and carbon fiber G10, a couple carbon fiber G10 laminate, I think is what it is. So weighs just a hair over 4 ounces at 4.09, so good. Actually a really good blade to handle, weight to size ratio, we'll call it. Because this is actually a lot bigger knife than I thought it was going to be. So the Little Mainstreet is obviously little, hence the name, but this one I thought was more medium size. I would actually classify this more on the large size. So let's do some size comparisons. Here is the Hinder XM18, also Warney, and it's a blade length about the same. The XM has a little bit more on the handle, but similar size. How about another Warney? The M, which is a fantastic knife. I don't think I've done a full review on that. Just did a first impressions. I need to do a full review on this guy. So it's a little bit bigger than that. And how about the bug out? Because everyone owns a bug out. So it's a little bit bigger than the bug out. So like I said I would actually classify it on a little bit larger side. And I was actually hoping it was more the size of the Convict that I also did a video on. It's a little bit bigger than that. And the handle and the blade. So it's actually it kind of surprised me when I got it in hand. I was like, oh, this is actually a little bigger than I thought it was. So still not too big, not a giant knife or anything by that, but I have a medium sized glove. You can see I've got plenty of handle there. That your hand really rests on this thumb wrap nicely. And yeah, good ergonomics on this guy. Before I get into that though, let's talk about the materials. You got micarta liner lock, so stainless steel liner lock. Does have nested liners that are skeletonized. Has a standoff construction. With a little jimping up here. Black coated blade on this one. I believe it is available in other, like a stonewash finish. The only ones I've actually seen are black coated. Black coated pocket clip as well. And 154 cm steel. So price on this guy, 82 bucks. We'll talk about value in a minute, but pretty good. So let's talk about action first of all. It's on bearings. And it's nice. It has a really nice, snappy thumb stud deployment. You can see you disengage that. It drops pretty far, a little shake, and you're good. Middle finger flick works fantastic. A lot of thumb stud knives don't work well with the middle finger flick because there's typically not enough leverage here, a lot of space for you to get your finger in there. With this being a Warney blade, the thumb studs sit kind of high off the scale, as you can see. So that is actually super easy to do. So if you want the middle finger flick or thumb stud, no big deal. So there's your deployment, there's your action, both really, really good. Centering on this guy came perfect. Haven't touched the pivot, haven't needed to. It's been a great performer. Yeah, no qualms there. Ergonomics, it's got a very neutral handle design. You know me, and neutral handle designs, that's where it's at. It makes sense. It works with all hand types. Like there's not one hand type that's gonna pick this up and say, that's not ergonomic. It's very ergonomic. It's a decent thickness, right around the 1/2 inch mark, 0.47, sorry. So 4.7, that'd be huge. So yeah, it's, just shy of a 1/2 inch, but it feels really, really good in the hand. Ergos are really good. No hot spots that I could feel in using this knife. You can see I've used it. A lot of the coating is starting to kind of show it. Mostly did cardboard processing because, Wharncliffes or like box cutters, it's what they excel at. And I'll roll in some footage here in a minute and be doing that. I also was testing the Convict at the same time, so you might see both knives in that footage, but really great at, I was actually kind of comparing these two, like what's better, a sheep's foot or a Wharncliffe? Guys, they're about this freaking same. The only difference is how the point comes down, really. They both have that straight edge coming across, right? So really good at processing cardboard, so it's great for that. That's what you cut a lot of what you cut a lot with, or cut a lot of. Fantastic knife for that. The advantage of a Wharncliffe over a sheep's foot is going to be the point, the tip is going to be a little bit more precise and acute This one's got a really pointy tip. Reminds me of like the Spyderco Yojimbo. Obviously, I showed a couple other warnings. It has a very similar blade profile to the XM18 Wharncliffe and the Jaeger M, but more of a tip, more like the XM, I'd say. Really close. So I like that on it, like that Wharncliffe blade shape. So ergos are great, action's great. You know, let's talk about the value, and then we'll get into the footage, and I'll wrap it up. So value, $82 gets you micarta and 154 cm. Not bad, not bad at all. I think about some other knives though, and I think, man, I got that QSB Penguin in S35 and raindrop carbon fiber for $70. It might be, it's still good. $80 isn't bad, but I could see this being a little less expensive. You know, 154 cm, I like it. It's a good stainless. The coating wasn't necessary. I think it's for purely aesthetics, which it looks good with the brown micarta. It's almost a burlap micarta. They call it brown, but to me, it almost has a burlap style finish to it. And the micarta has been good. It's held up. It's got, you know, it's taken some patina from my oils in my hand and stuff from using it and carrying it. So I carried this knife quite a bit over my vacation, spring break as well, and just a good performer. So let's go ahead and roll in that footage, and then we'll kind of wrap up the video. Oh, one thing I forgot to carry before we wrap it up is carry. How does it carry in the pocket? Let's check it out. I happen to have these sitting here from my last video. So definitely not a deep carry. Very, very similar to how the Convict carried in the pocket. You know, that much of your knife sticking up, about that deep into the pocket, and it's about that wide. So it is not the slimmest, but that's going to be anytime you use a have a Wharncliffe blade, it's going to be a little wider. The clip is pretty long, kind of excessively long, but it works well. It's a titanium pocket clip that has a nice, actually I'm not sure if that is titanium or not. It might be stainless steel, but it's it works good. It's not a deep carry. It has good retention. It clips on well. It's not hard to get on and off. So, you know, I don't have any issues with the pocket clip. I'm not as picky, I don't think, on pocket clips these days as I used to be. So, you know, for me it works. If you want deep carry, then this is not the knife for you, probably. But, you know, I think deep carries, I don't want a ton of knives sticking out of my pocket, but I think it's, you know, it's kind of overrated, deep carry. But anyway, $79, like I said, $80, you get a, you know, this Wharncliffe style blade shape. I'm just seeing if I can find anything on the pocket clip. It says milled, so I'm assuming it is titanium, but not sure on that. So if anyone knows, let me know in the comments down below. So carry-wise, it's great. Lightweight for its size especially. You know, nice pocket clip. No hot spots. And the ergos, like I talked about. So yeah, I think, you know, for 80 bucks ish, it's a great buy. If you use my discount code on White Mountain Knives, you can get you another 10% off. So I'll leave that in the description below. But it is EDCW White MK. I always mix up the letters. That'll give you 10% off on that. So I think it's worth the money. You know, it's not overly priced, but there is a few knives in this value, in this range, that have a little bit better materials for the money. So keep that in mind. But the quality is excellent. It doesn't feel any less quality than like their higher end stuff, like the Convict here or the Cryo that I reviewed. I think it's just a less expensive offering because of materials. You know, sometimes when you get into those, you know, like certain other brands, when you get into like the lower, you know, their budget stuff, the quality doesn't feel as nice as the higher end stuff. I wouldn't say that with the Kansept. I think this is their budget kind of series, and I feel like it's just as nice as the nicer stuff. So just a materials difference. But I think that's going to wrap up my thoughts on this guy. Would recommend it, especially if you are in that price range. 154 will sharpen up. In fact, it's still plenty sharp, and I processed. It's actually way sharp still. And I processed a lot of cardboard with it. So the 154 cm is a breeze to sharpen and to maintain, to strop. You know, it's a good user steel. I know it's kind of an older steel that Benchmade used for so many years on their knives. And so does Emerson, still uses it. It's a good solid steel. It's not bad. It's really not premium by any means, but you know, for 80 bucks, you can't really expect too much. So, all right, guys, I think that's, oh, one more thing that I forgot to do that I think is important is I forgot to measure the behind edge thickness. If I remember, it's pretty thin. Yeah, it's at 16 thousandths behind the edge. So again, it's nice to see these knives coming in thin behind the edge. That makes a big difference in performance, and it, like I said, glided through cardboard. If you get a knife that's too thick behind the edge, example would be this knife. This is pretty dang thick behind the edge, and after a couple of sharpenings, it's even worse. You know, it still cuts cardboard and stuff fine, but other materials, but it doesn't, it's more about resistance, right? Like this is gonna glide through cardboard easier than this. If they're at the same sharpness, let's say I sharpen them the same degree and, you know, same progressions for the stones and got them in, you know, to be the same sharpness, this is still gonna cut better because it's thinner behind the edge. Here, the difference is too, when this dulls and this dulls, this is still going to cut better because it's got thinner edge geometry. So that's another advantage to thinner edge geometry. So I would prefer it on all my knives. All right, guys, that's going to wrap my thoughts on the Kansept Mainstreet. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like and subscribe if you have not, and we'll see you on the next video.